Why are so many of us afraid of the dark, even though we know nothing exists? Is it simply a childhood fear we never fully outgrow, or is there something deeper at play? The fear of the dark, also known as phobia or dread of the dark, is deeply rooted in human psychology and evolution. Science suggests that our fear of the dark might not be as irrational as it seems, raising the question, what is it about the absence of light that triggers such a universal response? Today, while the dangers of the night have mostly disappeared, our brains haven't completely caught up. Darkness still triggers a heightened sense of awareness. But why does it persist even when we know we're safe? It turns out that the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for processing fear, is more active in low-light conditions. Without visual input, our brain fills in the blanks with our imagination, often jumping to worst-case scenarios. The less we can see, the more our mind tricks us. This is why shadows can suddenly seem threatening and why every sound in the dark feels amplified. Our brains are wired to anticipate danger when visibility is low. Several factors contribute to this fear. Essentially, fear of the dark results from a confluence of factors, including sensory limits, psychological conditioning, overactive imaginations, and evolutionary survival instincts. We are going to discuss these factors in detail. The first is the instincts of evolution. Our dread of the dark is mostly shaped by evolutionary impulses, which have been a vital part of our survival strategies for millions of years. To completely comprehend this, we must go back in time to the first people who lived in dangerous surroundings full of predators, hostile tribes, and other threats that frequently materialized at night. Before the invention of artificial lighting and modern technology, people were far more vulnerable at night. Many of the huge predators that threatened early humans were nocturnal hunters, including lions, leopards, and hyenas. These predators had a clear edge in low light because they could see, smell, or hear their prey far better than humans could. Being vigilant in the dark might have meant the difference between life and death for our ancestors. The likelihood of survival and gene transmission was higher for those who developed an innate fear of darkness and took preventative measures to ward off nocturnal hazards. Those who were cautious and vigilant at night were preferred by natural selection. People who were innately afraid of or avoided the dark were more likely to live in sheltered regions or near sources of light, such as fire, which reduced their vulnerability to predators. Due in part to their cautious conduct, their progeny survived, and as a result, a lineage of humans evolved that is inherently wary of unfamiliar or dark situations. Apart from the potential threat posed by predators, early humans had to contend with numerous other hazards, which intensified after dusk. The night was full of possible risks, whether they came from hostile human groups, treacherous terrain, or abrupt weather changes. Being unable to see clearly in the dark made people feel more vulnerable and hypervigilant. Humans can respond swiftly to unexpected threats because of this hyper-awareness, which causes the mind to become focused on any potential threat, but also increases worry and terror. Early people associated safety with light. While daylight made it possible to acquire food and resources, fire offered warmth, visibility, and protection from predators. On the other hand, darkness stood for the unknown, a world in which dangers were hidden and survival was unpredictable. Darkness thus evolved to represent risk and uncertainty, inspiring a fear of what might be hiding just below the surface of our awareness. Even though the threats we faced in the past are no longer there, nyctophobia's evolutionary underpinnings are still very present. In the modern world, a fear of the dark can take many forms, such as anxiety when in strange places or a general unease with the unknown. Though safe, our brains react as if there is a hidden danger in the dark. This potent reminds us of our ancestors' struggle to survive in a harsh, pre-modern environment. The next factor is a loss of sensory perception. People are inherently afraid of the dark due to reduced sensory experience, specifically the loss of vision in the dark. We depend so heavily on vision that when it is impaired, we experience confusion, vulnerability, and frequent anxiety. Here's a closer look at the cause of this. Of all the senses, vision is the principal means by which people see and understand their surroundings. With a high density of cone cells in the retina, which enables us to perceive a wide spectrum of colors and fine details, our eyes are adapted for sunshine. However, rod cells, which help humans see in dim light, are not as effective at forming detailed images in low light or complete darkness, which severely impairs our eyesight. The brain enhances our other senses, hearing, smell, and touch, to compensate for vision impairment in the dark. Although helpful, this adaptive response has drawbacks of its own. When there is a lack of visual information, the brain typically uses assumptions or imagined scenarios to fill in the blanks. These scenarios are frequently based on memories, anxieties, or even cultural training. For instance, if someone hears a sound in the dark but is unable to see its source, the brain may automatically make up an image of something menacing, such as a thief, a wild animal, or a supernatural entity. This results from the brain's continuous attempt to make sense of the outside world. When there is little visual input, as occurs in darkness, the brain makes up for it by imagining scenarios and past experiences, which tend to be interpreted negatively or with fear. People who already experience anxiety are more likely to develop this tendency because their brains tend to oversimplify confusing stimuli. Vision is essential for preserving spatial awareness and balance. However, our perception of distance and depth is impaired in the dark, making it challenging to navigate our surroundings. The lack of visual signals can also cause confusion, even in familiar situations. For example, navigating a dark room without running into anything becomes difficult because our eyesight isn't proficient at determining distances. This disorientation can cause panic because we become intensely aware of our diminished capacity to move securely and confidently. One has a loss of control over their surroundings while they are in the dark. One loses control of their surroundings. We can quickly identify possible threats, make wise judgments, and feel in control of our movements when we are in daylight or well-lit locations. This sense of control wanes in the dark since we can't see well enough to respond to our environment quickly or efficiently. Finding threats in the dark is difficult, but so is determining their existence. Our ability to discern between benign and harmful objects is facilitated by our vision. For instance, during the day, it is simple to identify that a small animal is rustling in the bushes or that a tree is casting a shadow. However, in the absence of visual confirmation, any sound or shadow could appear menacing in the dark. The third factor is the fear of the unknown. Fear of the unknown is a strong psychological force that appeals to our innate survival instincts. The uncertainty is amplified in the dark when vision is blurry and sensory input is restricted, leading to feelings of fear and anxiety. Because of our innate desire for consistency and predictability, our minds find it difficult to handle uncertainty and frequently anticipate dangers to fill in the blanks. We still dread the dark, largely because of this innate reaction developed over millions of years of evolutionary pressure. Darkness continues to arouse feelings of vulnerability as a literal and metaphorical depiction of the unknown, reminding us of the fundamental human urge for control and understanding in an uncertain world. The fear of the dark is a basic survival instinct that reminds us of our intimate evolutionary link to the past and our reliance on distinct sensory information to feel secure and in control. Now that we've explored the fascinating science behind why we're afraid of the dark, we'd love to hear your thoughts. What are your experiences or theories on this? Drop a comment below and let's keep the conversation going. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on more intriguing topics like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.